decision of going into business for myself, I told my girlfriend at the time and had our firstborn. And I was like, hey, we're going to go live in a mobile trailer. Like the type that people go camping with. You hook up to a truck. It wasn't that big, but it wasn't that small either. And she was like, hell no, there's no way we're going to do that. And I said, yeah, we are. My rent there was going to be like $900 compared to $1,400. For me, those $500-$600 was an investment. I'm like, I'm going to buy some equipment or whatever with that. You know, just looking back, like, yeah, it was small and yeah, it wasn't the most comfortable because in the summers it would get hot. It's like an oven in there. But, you know, we went through those sacrifices that now we look back, we need to go through these things in order to value, man. You value exactly what you're achieving. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Stay Shining, Stay Grinding podcast. I am your host, Jose Gallegos, with my co-host, Carlos Castro.
How's everybody doing today? Glad to be here.
All right, man. How's it going? How's everything?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. Feel good. Feel energized. I was telling you before we went on air that sign up to like this training facility. The guy said it's not a boot camp and it's not what was the other thing?
CrossFit.
It's not CrossFit, but you know, it's a training facility which I've decided to commit to with one of my other buddies, Carlos, as well. Shout out to Carlos, man. He's always keeping me accountable and checking up and invited me for workouts, hikes, and everything. So I've been managing to get that, you know, keep the ball rolling on that. At the end of the day, we all need someone to keep us accountable, you know?
Yeah.
So that's going good, you know. We went in there, we crushed it. Really good workout. I thought I was gonna faint. That's how intense it was. But no, we knocked it out. Everything was good. What's up with you?
Just working hard, you know, killing as much as possible. I try to tell myself, like, on the weekdays I'm hunting, and then on the weekends I'm feasting. And by feasting means that, like, I'm taking more time for myself.
Okay.
And taking more time for my family, and just, you know, not thinking too much about work. Because when I parted ways with people that were working with me, I had to take a lot of responsibility, and that responsibility just, like, began to grow and grow and grow. And from like the month of April to about the end of June, everything was just one big blob.
Oh shoot.
Monday through Sunday, every single day I was working hard. So now for the past month of 10th month of July, I've been able to, like, find some peace throughout my week.
Nice.
Before, I did not, and it was horrible. So yeah,
Peace is always needed, man.
yeah.
Are you still trading? You still doing jujitsu? And
Oh yeah, 100%.
right on.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. We're moving. We're gonna be moving to the Orange County. You know, not because of making more money. It's just because of the fact that you know, my wife goes to school in San Diego, and she drives from the Inland Empire to San Diego, and
Could be a drive.
you know, yeah, it's anywhere between an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on traffic and stuff. So instead of her driving, she's just going to be commuting through the transit, which is almost about the same time frame, but she won't be driving, so she'll have time to work or sleep or whatever,
Study
or whatever that needs to happen. So and then, you know, we used to live in Fullerton in Orange County, and the kids already have friends out there, and they're more excited. I think they're more excited than me and Shayna, because they're just like a new venture for them.
Yeah.
We're kind of just like, well, you know, we kind of just have to do it. Like, we'd be more than happy to stay where we're at, but, you know,
Well,
for the whole,
you know, making changes or changes that arise, it's, you know, it's part of the journey, and it's part of adapting and making those changes to life and to our surroundings. So I mean, a good move. I mean, it's going to benefit both of you guys, and at the end of the day. So, that brings us to our conversation for today, or our topic of today.
Mm.
And you exactly put it right now. So the journey, guys, enjoying the journey. Um, one day you're gonna be at a certain place, and you're gonna end up looking back and say, man, 10 years went by so fast, or 5 years went by so fast. So, sometimes, as I say, stop and smell the roses, enjoy the journey. And honestly, we're gonna give a shout out. We got our first request, and this request was one of our our viewers, and he actually put in a request, and I'm just gonna give him a shout out real quick. Daniel Briceno. Thanks, Daniel, for requesting that. Always happy to hear you guys out, see what we can help you with, and have a good conversation about. So let's get into it. And what's your take on the journey? How are you enjoying the journey? How's this journey treating you? Is it hard? Is it easy?
The journey has many ups and downs, peaks and valleys, and I was just talking with somebody yesterday, who's going to be working with me in the future, and I was talking to them about how when I first started, like I was green on anything. Like I was willing to just take any project or just anything made me excited, and that like feeling, you sometimes need to like kind of regain that feeling as like you begin to grow, because you start to lose touch with that feeling,
Yeah.
and then becomes like everything becomes like redundant, and it feels like the same. So every once in a while, I feel it's necessary in the middle of your journey to kind of remind yourself of where you're at, and whether you're in the beginning, the middle. I mean, we're still in the middle of our journey right now. Like we still have a couple more years.
Quarter way through.
And we still have some time before we consider retirement. But like I said, I think back to a lot of that time where I was just eager to take anything and eager to learn and eager to grow. And my whole thing was like I wasn't even doing this for I wasn't doing this because I wanted to chase it as a career. I was doing it just as a side hustle to get me through college,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And then when I began to take it more serious, I feel like that's when it became more serious overall, and the pressure was a lot bigger. And it has been a very interesting journey, like a lot of ups and downs, and more downs than there are ups, but the ups are a lot more rewarding.
Yep.
Like the downs felt so much longer and the ups felt like shorter, but they felt good in that moment. Like when I would close a deal, or like when, I got my LLC, or when I opened a bank account, when I got my first credit card, business credit card. Like I remember when I got my bank account, I, tried to apply for a credit card. I didn't get accepted, and I waited like about 4 or 5 months. I kept money in the bank account, and then ended up getting the credit card. And like that for me felt like a pretty big milestone. Being from like the background that I come from, like just knowing that like, oh, like I can make these achievements as long as I put the effort and work. So
Oh yeah.
yeah.
It's definitely very satisfying when, like you said, the wins feel short because we still got to get back on the grind, but they feel so much more satisfying. Like even if it's a quick, man, this felt good. Like the accomplishment of
Yeah.
like I did this, or I went through this. It feels amazing, and I'm on the same boat, man. For me, I mean, my journey has been a little bit longer than yours right now, but definitely a lot of ups and downs. Definitely a lot of good old struggles, good old financial uh, difficulties, and you know, family sacrifices. I remember looking back when I first decided to start my company. I decided to. I was renting a bit little back house. I remember I was paying 1,400 a month on it. Is when I was working for somebody else, and in the decision of going into business for myself, I told my girlfriend at the time, and we just had our firstborn, and I was like, hey, we're gonna go live in a mobile trailer, like the type that people go camping with. You hook up to a truck. I mean, it wasn't that big, but it wasn't that small either. And she was like, hell no, there's no way we're gonna do that. And I said, yeah, we are. Like, cause you know, I think I was gonna be my rent there was gonna be like $900 compared to $1,400.
Yeah.
And for me, those $500-600 was like an investment. I'm like, I'm gonna buy some equipment or whatever with that. So, just looking back, like, yeah, it was small, and yeah, it wasn't the most comfortable because in the summers it would get hot.
Mm.
It's like an oven in there. But, we went through those sacrifices that now we look back, we need to go through these things in order to value, man. You value exactly what you're achieving, those little wins. It felt at the time, it didn't feel like, we weren't like poor or anything. It just felt like we were going through those cycles, and every time, we would get another job, or we would I hired my first employee when I was living there. That's when I first started studying for my test. I got my test and everything, and I started working. Shortly after that, from there we transitioned to a small little studio. Very small. I don't think it was past anything 900 square feet, maybe 700 square feet. Tiny little bedroom, tiny little kitchen, bathroom, and a little tiny living room. And we actually lived there for longer. We lived there for 4 years or something. So on the mobile trailer, we were there for about a year and a half.
Mm.
There were 4 years and a half or so on the small studio. You go through those things, and sometimes you just like want to chase like the dream. Yeah, you look back and say, hey man, it was nice that I had gone through this. My kids went through this. My girlfriend went through this, and now my fiance. But it's nice to look back and just really admire everything you went through, because it helps you develop, grow into the person that you need to become, because I'm not there yet. We're not there yet. We're still working towards that. But all these obstacles, all these challenges, all this stuff is very rewarding. Today I'm not. So now we have well, we don't own, but we rent a 1,400 square foot home. Beautiful home. It was built 2019. We rent an office space with a yard, construction site or construction yard. We have all our trucks, and as we go, and sometimes I do stop and like look back, and I'm like, wow, man, like what, where I am today, still struggling, still learning, but where I am today, it feels nice. Like it feels nice that coming from a family where our culture, Hispanic family, we none of my parents have education. They migrated here, and just for them giving me the opportunity to be here, and me also put in the work, and to be where I am today. Even I'm complaining about my struggles and everything, and challenges, but there's a lot of stuff that we really have to stop and admire and say, man, this is nice. Like, who would have seen us, no education, no schooling, no degrees, no nothing, just slowly start to make it happen, and at the same time inspire others to say, hey bro, like, I'm gonna chale ganas, let's do this, man. Like, let's bring this community up, and let's work hard, and you were able to see that it's achievable. You know what I mean? So, and in your case too, I mean, from your history and things that you went through to, I mean, where you're headed, I mean, bro, you're absolutely crushing it with the journey. You know what I mean? So for you, how are the problems compared to how they were in the beginning to like where you are now? Like, I know that was one of the questions they asked, like, does it get easier? Does it get harder? Or is it all in general, it's always difficult, but just a different level of difficulty?
Yeah, I feel like for me, my problems just change. Uh, if you're always dealing with the same problems, it's not the problem. I think it's your way of managing the problem and how you deal with it.
Right.
Um, but for me, I feel that my problems change, and if I do end up having the same problem again, I end up just referring back to my strategy previously and how I handled it. Because sometimes you will have some of the same problems arise again, but if the only problems that you do have as you begin to grow are the same ones, then it's a factor of changing how you handle the problem.
Yeah.
It's more of a personal thing. But I feel like, you know, yeah, the problems are always going to be a part of the situation, especially when you're an entrepreneur. It's the things that they don't tell you, like, on social media and stuff, like, oh yeah, be an entrepreneur, make your own money, start
Be
your
your
own
own boss.
brand, be your own boss. And it's like, that all sounds great, but they don't tell you about the stuff that goes on in the behind that. They don't tell you that, hey, your taxes are going to be a lot more now.
Mm.
Hey, the majority of the stuff is going to be out of pocket. Hey, like, make sure that you are saving money for the future, because if you're starting your own business, doesn't mean you're going to have a pension, doesn't mean you're going to have 401 or 401k, like, insurance. They don't tell you about that stuff. It's like, just, hey, you're gonna be your own boss, and you're gonna be potentially become a
Yeah.
millionaire. But they don't tell you about the stuff that falls behind that. And you know, I have taken the education route, and then I'm doing this entrepreneur route. I feel both routes are great, just depending on where you plan to be in life. And I feel like a lot of times when I first started, I think I really questioned both routes. I questioned the educational route, and I questioned the entrepreneur route. And the entrepreneur route is, I feel like it's a little more difficult,
Mhm.
because in education you have structure. In education you have people you can lean on, people you can work with. Like, there's a structure there. There's a set structure there. You go to class, you do your work, and you can elevate. In the industry that I'm in now, like, as an entrepreneur, there is really no structure. Like, there's no set structure that you can just follow. You kind of have to go with the punches and learn as you go. Especially in an industry that I'm in, where I'm in media marketing. Like, our company is a full umbrella of what it's like to handle everything that needs to be handled for your business. And like I said yesterday, I was talking to somebody who was going to be working with me, and they asked me, what exactly is your business? What does your business exactly do? And I told them, well, my business is a full company that handles um all of your company's social media accounts, online accounts, and anything that has to do with it. So, as opposed to you contacting a marketing agency, and that marketing agency contacting a content creator, and that content creator, contacting an editor, like, we handle everything for you. So it all stays in house. And, in my industry, there's not that many competitors that do what I do. So it's not like I can, like, look something up and be like, oh, this is what so and so did, and this is why they're so big.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, I feel like the journey is a continuous journey. You're gonna have to deal with a lot of things, and it does become better, or it does get easier as you progress. But the problems do continue to come no matter how far you get. At least for me.
Well, that I mean, easier in a way of like you start to it opens up good doors, but it also can get complicated in the way of like, you know, like in my skill, when I remember when I was in business and I was in the field and I was working and I was cutting the lawns, mowing the lawns, and with my guys, that was a lot easier, whether it was hard work, than kind of what I have to go through right now. So, mm, not that it's impossible, but the journey teaches you to, in order for you to be able to handle the new problems that arise, the new level of problems that arise. At the end of the day, wouldn't you agree? It has to. It always depends on yourself, or like leveling up, becoming a newer version of yourself. I guess it goes 1.0, 2.0 to many point ohs. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, if you get hit with you're learning about taxes, you get hit with taxes. We didn't know that, so then we have to learn that. We have to learn that trade and get some professional to help us, and then you learn to handle people and manage people and work with people, and then now you're not only a labor and a sales guy, now you're a HR and a project manager and a consultant. And so those, as long as we're aware of developing ourselves and keep working to make ourselves level up and develop ourselves. Any problem that comes is like they say, it's not what happens to you, is more how what you do to handle that problem. In my case too. But yeah, definitely. I mean, looking back, I mean, there's just so much that even now, like I'm starting to like have those visions, and just remembering how it was back then, and how nice it was to be more involved with my crew. Like right now, we're talking the other day, I think in the other podcast, like I don't get as involved with my guys no more because I have a supervisor or I have a project manager, and I'll see them here and there. But it's not like when I used to work with them with a group of 4, a group of 5, and I used to have lunch with them and everything. So like you go through those journeys where you sit down, you have lunch, and we share lunch or whatever, and we we bring the sodas or whatever, the Gatorades. That's a different bond, but at one point you start to separate from that, not because you want to, but that's what the business, the entrepreneurship requires for you to grow out of that, because now you're so focused in other things. So now I see my guys probably like once a week, sometimes like twice a week. We chit chat, and like there's a good level of respect and everything. And aside from what I've gone through with some employees, but and at the same time, it's like they see me like, hey, patron, ¿cómo estás? Good. Hey, good. How are you? Like, everything's good. Yeah, I'm good. And it's just like I think back, like, man, when we were like working together, the bond was a little closer. Not that, but you work together. You're in the field, you're busting ass and everything, and then hey guys, I gotta pull away. I gotta go look at a job. Oh, está bien, patron. You do what you gotta do. I come back and now I'm like always so busy, and like they don't really direct to me. They don't really call me anymore that much unless it's something like that the other guys can't handle. But they report to project manager, report to supervisor, and it's just a different feeling. And it feels nice. It feels nice because now you're like, okay, I'm seeing the progress. I'm seeing the growth. But definitely it's also learning how to manage that and learning how to accept that as you start to grow into something bigger, and better, at the end of the day. So I know you're gonna start to see that. I know you're gonna start working with somebody now too, and you've already worked with somebody, so you already know how close you can be or how separate, and what you need to do. But like again, you come from the education too, so you have a lot of structure. I've learned a lot of that from you. So I'm always been all over the place, and that's what entrepreneur is. You have to learn how to manage that, manage your time, manage your skill level, your management level, your HR level. Like you have to learn these things because as pretty as a picture seems, hey, start your own business, but then you start to say, oh man, I didn't know I had to do this. Well, I didn't know how to learn that. I don't know how to save my money for this. I don't know how to invest into this. So yeah, definitely the journey it's a roller coaster, but it's at the end of the day it could be fun, Enjoy the failures. Like, yeah, all these times I've had hiccups, I'm almost like I learned from it. I've discussed a lot of those hiccups with you, and you give me some great feedback, and I'm like, hey, or I'll read a book or I'll listen to a podcast, and I'm like, I gotta apply this. I gotta put some action into this, and you're always learning and developing. And sometimes you think like, man, when I first started, my mindset was 100% opposite of what I think right now. I used to not care about, not I used to want to hang out, drink, and it's just a culture, like that's why now I'm big on like, hey guys, like, work on yourselves, man, like develop yourself, because you can't move towards something if you don't change yourself. You have to change yourself first before you start to accept that you have to manage people. You have to this, because you can't just throw the rag at everything and say, a la chingada, like, I don't need you. I don't need it. You have to learn how to work with people. You have to be more patient. Um, but it's fun, man. Family goes through it. You know, seeing my little boy, so many memories from that first trailer we used to live in. You know, there was no space, so it was tight there in the carpet. You know, teaching him building blocks and building letters or letter magnets in the little fridge that was there. A lot of little nice memories that you start to take with you. You know, so when you starting to get to the next point, you always look back, you admire those, like, oh man, that was nice. Like it wasn't like now, like, you know, oh man, the mansion and the Ferraris and the Lambos, like that's probably all cool when you get there. But it's all these little things that you have to go through life that make you really cherish and admire everything you're going through. You eventually you look back, you know, if you're a grinder, if you're a hustler, stay shining, you stay grinding. Hey man, you're gonna get there. You're definitely gonna look back and you'll be like, wow, man, it's nice that I had to go through all these things because, you know, if you win the lottery today, what happens with most of those people? So they say that they lose it all, you know, because they don't know the hard work that it takes to build something
Yeah.
or to manage the money correctly or whatever. And like now we learn, you know, you're always telling me, hey, should this camera came out or this, but yours is still good. So you have to learn how to take care of your money. Like myself too, I can't just go and buy all new trucks or whatever. I have to learn how to manage that, you know, risk assessment and you know, si fuera fácil, como dicen, todos lo hicieran, you know what I mean? But that's why we're here, man, to just share our experiences um and what we've gone through and just highly recommend you guys really enjoy that journey and a lot of I never documented it. I wish I would have documented
Mm.
since day one. Because now I look back, I'm like, I don't have so much content or video or anything to be able to like remember, you know. It's all a memory. It's all in my head. But for a lot of you guys starting, document it, you know what I mean? I mean, document it so from wherever you are, don't be ashamed where you live, where you are, where you started, your parents' place, whatever. Document it so then 3, 5 years from now you look back like, damn dude, I remember myself in my little desk in my little kitchen in the little studio I lived in or whatever, and freaking full of invoices, all paper. You know, I used to do everything by paper, by hand. Me and
Yeah,
my
I remember
fiance,
those
remember that?
days. Yeah.
Puro pluma y papel. It's just like paper and pen. Vámonos, boom, boom, writing, and it's like, man, there has to be a better way. La neta, uno está bien indio, bro. Like we,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not techie like that. So I got introduced to a software, and I'm like, oh, this is nice, and then you know we started learning how to automate everything and then we're like, oh, this is nice. Like it sends it out for you, it reminds them for you, it collects the payment for you. You're like, oh nice, pretty shiny, you know, like pero you know it's because we don't know any better, bro. We come from family where you know we don't we weren't educated like that. We didn't learn. My dad, you know, really hardworking man, but till this day he's just he just doesn't accept innovation, doesn't accept uh the the new technologies. He's just he still does his invoices by paper. My mom does them, you know, and you know they fill them out by paper and they lick the freaking envelope and then they send it out, you know. And I'm like, Dad, you know, put this into effect. Fuck that, you know. I don't need that. Like this is he still goes every because my dad has a long hair route, so every you know, every house he does, he still, you know, puts it in the mailbox and shuts it. I'm like, bro, like, you know, collect emails or something. But, you know, it's just one of those things where like he's there and he's comfortable with that and he's happy with that and that works well. But I think right now we have so many tools and softwares and everything that definitely help us, you know, uh take care of things faster, better, quicker, you know?
Yeah. I mean that's yeah, I mean you went on a pretty good one right there. That was good.
Sorry, I took over all the time.
I timed it. It was 10 minutes.
Shit. Yeah.
uh, you know, that just goes to show how motivated you are right now. When I just remembered, I was thinking about this while you were talking about how just a few weeks ago you were down in the dumps. You're you know
Yeah.
you're feeling it good, and then now you're in a different mindset because things are looking up. So you know, remind yourself of those times.
Yep.
Like you know, things are starting to get better for you again, and don't forget about those experiences because that's one of the things that I remind myself as soon as I get a small win or something good happens, as far as like my business, I have to remind myself of those challenges in the past. Like, I
Yep.
try not to let it get the best of me. And I've had experiences where I've allowed my ego to kind of take control
Yeah.
whenever I got a new client or a new project, and I kind of went at it with like more of an egotistic perspective and not realizing the harm that I was causing.
Mm-hmm.
So now whenever I have those new like those new things that come around, new clients and stuff like that, I try to keep myself grounded when
Yeah.
that happens. It's like, great, I have a new client. That's exciting. What's the benefit from it? Not just for myself, but for everybody, my family. I have to think about those things because at the end of the day, I'm not doing it just for the heck of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm doing it because I'm trying to build a future. I'm trying to build something that I can leave. I want to make sure that the day comes, and whenever the day does come when I die, how am I remembered? Am I just remembered as whatever, a random person, or am I remembered for what I do? So yeah. Jose's looking at his phone. Jose tends to look at his phone a lot while we're in this podcast. So, he's a phone guy. I have my phone right here on the side of me and I don't touch it because I'm like, I'm gonna give you my undivided attention, Jose. So yeah, I mean
You just get a lot of texts and stuff.
he gets a lot of he manages a lot of people, and he's on a good journey right now, to be honest. I've like he says, he wished he documented his journey and stuff. And the funny thing is, I've been a part of his journey since you've started. Like, I remember when you got your first like big truck, like your first major truck was at GMC you bought. Um that you had a very eye-awakening experience one time when you tried to get gravel, or forgot what it was, gravel or concrete one day. And that like, and this is like right when you bought it, I think a few months after you bought it, and that you loaded it up and the whole thing just came down, and you're like, oh, like not every truck can take this much payload. Like,
Yeah.
what? Like, that was an experience for you. Remember that? I remember when you were.
I remember
when
clearly
you
now.
were super excited because you got the new truck. And you're like, this is it. This is a big opportunity. This is an opener for me for everything. And then I remember a few months later the downfall of like you saying, "Damn, why did I buy that truck? I should have bought something with more payload and da da da." But it's like
Yeah.
things like that. Like, looking back now, you kind of laugh at it, and then
Oh yeah. 'Cause I remember the guys at the material spot. They were like, "That truck's loading." I'm like, "Bro, it's a 2015 GMC, my boy."
it's brand new.
And the guy was like, "All right," and it wasn't like crazy, but that thing, the suspension just boom, and another guy passed by. He's like, "You fucked up. Like, that's poor truck. It's a brand new truck. Like, it wasn't brand new. It was like a used truck, but it seemed new." And he was like, "No, you're doing it wrong." I was like, "It was a 1500. That's the thing. It was a. Now I know, like, it's a 1500, 2500, 3500." And that means like the payload or the weight that it could hold up, 3/4 ton or 1 ton. And obviously a 1500 cannot, sustain not even like barely a scoop of gravel. So, that thing was like a tumbado, like
Yeah.
lowrider status. And, I was like the wheels in the front would like freaking raise up. And I'm like, dude, they're like, "Oh, go through the street because you're going to get a ticket, the highway patrol." And I was like, oh, luckily the job was like right down the street, but I mean, just those funny experiences, man. Like those crazy things. You're looking like, man, like I didn't do any research on it. I just thought like, oh, cool. And I think a lot of people, they probably go through that, and bro, just enjoy it. You can use the truck for something else. Later, you'll get another one. I mean, even when I had after I got the Dodge Diesel, the 5500, and I wasn't driving that nowhere. Someone else was driving it, and I remember it showed up at the job site, dude. It was a 14-foot dump truck. The whole truck was leaned to one side, dude, and that was a far distance. When I saw the truck pulling up the street, I looked at the truck and I was like, "No way did this guy drive it through the freeway like that? Like literally, like all the
Like
way."
a delivery or something.
Yeah, we were delivering recycled concrete base to one of our job sites, and the driver was more on the news side, and
From your team.
yeah, from my team. It was my truck for my team delivering for our project. And when I saw him pulling up, the first thing I thought was like, fuck, I forgot to explain to them to level out the weight. Because sometimes you go in there, they'll load you, and if it's too much on side, you're supposed to, hop on there with the shovel and just kind of
Yeah.
level it out. And dude, this guy, he's got off the truck. He parked. I'm like, bro, are you serious? He's like, dude, that shit was scary. The truck kept like pulling up to the side. I'm like, dude, you're lucky high patrol didn't see your ass, or the truck didn't flip over.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of things that people may say, it's easy running a business, but I mean, thank God, knock on wood, nothing bad has ever happened, or no car crashes, no nothing. And but it's just a lot of things that you look back now, like, madre, how could I fuck that up, or how how come I didn't explain it right? But man, it's amazing. It's looking back, your all the memories come back to life. And I honestly, I wish I would have documented it. Ever since my very first, 2004 F-150, two blown engines, two transmission swaps, and headache after headache. Then we get the Chevy, and it was all cash trucks. For me, in my head, it was like cash is king, and I try to pay everything cash. And I got a $5,000 truck, $6,000 truck. Now I'm looking to revamp and upgrade my fleet, because honestly, these trucks, it's good when you start, because obviously you don't have money, but like after you get momentum going, I think the way I should have done is financed slowly and
Yeah, you
pay
should
them off.
should be in debt.
Yeah, because now I get all these problems from these trucks,
Yeah.
and they're nothing but downtime and problems, and I'm like, my boy,
you're,
man.
you're looking out for yourself in the future, because in the moment when you buy that, where you say, do I want to finance a truck or do I want to buy a truck? And in that moment, you're just thinking about, well, I just get to pay $7,000 for this truck. The problems I'll deal with the problems when they come.
Yeah,
But then the problems come and you're already dealing with other problems. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh shit, now I have to deal with more. So what I always tend to do is I try to tell myself, think about future self whenever I have to make a decision.
yeah,
Think about, who is this benefiting? Is this benefiting me right now, or is it benefiting myself in the future? And I feel like when you buy a truck and you finance a truck, you are not thinking about the benefits that come with that.
mm-hmm.
You have no mechanical issues for like the first 5 years of having that truck.
Yep.
And then on top of that, you get to build credit for your company.
Write-offs.
Write-offs. And then your guys are happy because they get to have a nice new truck with AC and stuff. So, we don't think about that. But in the moment, you're like, I'd rather pay $7,000. I'll get this truck. It has over 100,000 miles.
Yeah.
And not gonna worry about the transmission blowing out on me in 4 months from now. Like, yeah, I mean, your tax lady told you that you spent a pretty good amount of money on mechanics, when you could have just spent that on buying some new trucks.
Yeah, last year she was like yelling at me. She's like, Jose, what the hell are you doing? And I was like, why? And she's like, 50 something thousand on repairs. Like, I mean, it's a revolving business, but you're helping out the auto shops instead of helping your business
comes out of
out.
your pocket.
Yeah, so I was like, so she, we made up a plan and everything. So we're gonna be upgrading the fleet, and she's like, no, don't. A lot of us will look at it as an expense.
Mm.
Oh man, I don't want to make this expense. I don't want to have this payment. And early on, like I said, buying trucks cash here and there is good, but establishing credit, like I learned, como dicen, a lo bruto. I learned the hard way, a lo pendejo.
Yeah.
And I didn't have anyone around me to educate me or teach me, and I just thought, sometimes I would get the advice from the family members or people around me, but maybe it wasn't the right advice,
Yeah.
all with all the respect in the world, but it wasn't the right advice. They never built anything. They never, they never had that experience to be able to kick it back to me. And, now there's like a bunch of seminars and things that programs, or what is it called, masterminds and stuff, that I started getting into like after my second, third year, which I was like, oh, this is cool. But yeah, the pockets were already empty, bro. I was paying everything cash. And but again, it's one of those experiences. You're like, man, it's cool, man. Like I lived it, I went through it, and we're here. We're still fighting. We're still shining. We're still grinding. That's the part of the hustle. But yeah, there's a lot of things that you learn along the way. You're like, damn, how come I didn't think of that? How come I didn't know that? Or but it's just our our environment. It's everyone's environment is going to be different. There's going to be the guy that has family doing really good or has a big company, and maybe it gets passed down to the son or whatever, and they take over from there, or they have people doing really good things around them, and they have a good support system. They, right day one, go get your LLC. Day two, go apply for credit, and you start off young in that, but it was in my case. It wasn't your case, and we're here. We're figuring it out. At the end of the day, being aware, figuring it out, and just making sure that you're putting into solving those problems and fixing those problems. So
Yeah.
what it is. Do you got anything else?
No, I think that's it. I mean, dude, it's a fun ride. I enjoy it. You have your moments where you don't want to do anything with life and you just want to escape. Um, but you know, in those moments, try to be present. Try to be present. Try to avoid too much thinking in your head, because we will get lost in our thoughts whenever we are in a position where it's bad.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody goes through that issue. Um, and then when you're in a good place, also, be present. Also be present.
Yeah.
I have gotten to a place now where like I get new projects or I get more money and it's not satisfying. It doesn't satisfy me. Like I'm like, this is only a piece,
Mm-hmm.
but like the grand thing.
Oh yeah.
I try to continuously invest in my head that I have a 5-year plan. I have a 5-year plan. I have a 5-year plan. I'm on year 2 of that 5-year plan. Where I was last year is not where I'm at today.
Yeah.
So that means I'm doing good.
Yeah.
If I'm in the same spot next year in year 3 that I am right now, then I'm working backwards. So, I want to make sure that every single year leading up to that 5-year plan, that I grow and increase at, by 50%.
Yeah.
I have great goals. I have a lot of things that I want to do, and I feel Anchor Mind Projects is just one of many business ventures that I'll probably be a part of.
Nice.
My ultimate goal, and when I'm like 45, 50 years old, I want to sit back and be like, this is, I own this, I own this. So yeah, I got money in this, and that's how I want to be. I don't want to be stressed out at that age. I don't want to
Oh
be
no.
worried about, not not knowing if like our kids are gonna have a future or something. I want to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that I build something where, you know, the next person can take over as soon as I decide to stop.
Yeah.
That's what my whole goal is with Anchor Mind Projects. And I was talking about that to the person that's gonna help me with the social media marketing. I was like, I want to make sure that if, let's say, for example, we get big in the next 2-3 years and we need to hire 2 or 3 other people, I want to make sure that we could just easily give them a map and they can easily do it. And then they could pass it
Nice.
down to somebody else. That's like one of the biggest things that I'm focused on right now, is making sure I build systems that make sense.
Yeah.
And it's part of the journey. It's exciting for me because before, my journey was, when I first started, is how to market. I don't know how to market. I didn't know how to brand. I didn't know how to edit a website. I had to teach myself all these things,
Yeah.
read blogs. I had to go on Google. I had to go on YouTube. I had to ask questions, like so many things that I had to learn. And now, I've gained all this knowledge and experience, because there's a lot of experience. I'm very confident for our services and what we offer.
Nice.
I mean, enjoy the journey, enjoy the process, enjoy every single moment, even when it's hard, because that's the ones that you're gonna remember the most.
Mm-hmm.
Those hard journeys. Man, I remember when I was, freaking gonna quit.
Oh yeah.
I had like last year, I had so many moments where I was really questioning what I was gonna do? Like I was really questioning, and I'm not, in my early 20s. I'm 29 now.
Young.
I'm at the end of my 20s. I feel like in your 20s is when you kind of start to figure out like which direction you want to take life. I
Yeah.
don't think it's set, but it definitely the idea of where you want to go. And you know leading up to the where I'm at today, I tell people it took me 10 years to get to this point where I'm at today. It took me 10 years. 10
Mhm.
years to build this brand that I'm building. I didn't know what I was building. I didn't know what I was going to make, but I'm here now, and it's more clearer. Now I have to focus on the next 10 years, you know. There's a lot that goes on in the journey. Always make sure that you have goals. Always make sure that you have things that you want to strive towards, and then also be happy with where you're at today. Do not ignore the fact of who you are today and where you're at
Yeah.
today. Because I feel like we put a lot of emphasis in the aspect of, well, we're not there yet. Well, we're not there yet. But like, does that really matter? Because who knows? The world could end today.
Mm-hmm. So enjoy
And
today.
we're so focused on the potential that we could be, we're ignoring the reality of where we're at today. You don't have anybody that you have to answer to other than your clients.
Yeah.
You know,
They're the big bosses.
they're the big
They're the real
bosses.
bosses.
Like you get to have a nice office space for yourself. We get to have a room where we can shoot and record this podcast. I have a home where I can, edit in my office space. I don't have to go and rent out a space or have to borrow a space.
Mm-hmm.
Like we both have fairly new cars, like we have that. Like right now we can say we're hungry, let's go buy some lunch. Like, we have those things. We have to think about those benefits. We just came back from vacation. Like, I feel like a lot of us invest too much time in the like potential future and ignore the fact of like where we're at today.
Yeah.
Where we're at today is good.
Enjoying the fruits of that.
There's a few, not too long ago, we were freaking, looking under rocks and trying to figure out, well, how are we gonna make this happen? How are we gonna do this? You were in a position where you had to rent out a space from a family member, and it was very sour for you for those couple of years. It was very up and down.
Yeah.
Now you got your own spot. It's like you don't have to worry about the family issues and stuff like that. You can breathe. Like, just take advantage of the present moment. No matter if you're just starting or and even if you're just starting, I feel like it's less pressure. Like there's
Yeah.
less bullshit you have to deal with. Like
So enjoy that.
enjoy that. But then when you get to the where we're at today, like let's say we're on stage 2, you're probably like on stage 3 or 4 at this point, but at least for me, I'm like on stage 2, where it's like things are starting to unravel, things are starting to happen.
Yeah.
Just enjoy the process 100% and trust the process. And if you really want to get where you were trying to get, continue to work there. Keep your head down and keep working. And every
That's
once
it.
in a while, smell the roses. Don't forget to smell the roses. I feel like, a lot of people don't tend to smell the roses in the process. And we get old and they're like, man, I remember like
Should have, could have, would
should
have.
have, oh man, I shouldn't have worked so much. I shouldn't have worked so hard. Like, yeah.
One time for me, I'm just gonna close this one out real fast before, but when I was like year 3, it wasn't going bad for me. It wasn't going great, and just investing a lot, and that's when I was doing a lot of cash investments, and so pockets were a little tight. And I remember one time I got invited to a cruise. Right, never done a cruise before in my life, and it was a Caribbean cruise, Jamaica, Quinta Roo, and Cayman Islands. And I was like, hell no, I don't deserve that yet. And my then my thinking was, I don't deserve that yet. I don't need that
Ego
yet.
was telling you that.
Yeah. And my boy was my boy Sebastian was about 4.
Mm.
My little one Juju was 2, so it was 5 and 2 roughly. And a guy, a buddy of a family friend was like, he was the one inviting us, and he was like, let's go, Jose, let's go. Like, I'm sure, like, I don't know how with your situation, but I'm sure you can make this happen. I was like, but I don't. He's like, look, you keep saying I. He's like, do it for your family, do it for the kids, do it for the memories that you're gonna build. Because he's 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 doing really good, man. He's a good family friend, and he's like, my mistake was that I hustled and I grinded so hard that I didn't stop and do these things.
Mm.
So his kids are older now. They're his kids are in their mid 20s, but he's like, I now I see you how you're in the hustle, you're in the grind. Don't do a mistake I did and enjoy your kids. Build those memories for the kids. Take pictures, record. You're not gonna regret this. And I did it. We went. I said, you know what? Fuck, dude. I'm over here thinking about myself and the company and whatever and what we're building. But man, the kids. I mean, the experience in general, because I enjoyed it too. But it was just like, wow. Didn't regret one thing about it. We built so many memories. We took so many pictures and everything, and the kids were just talking about it. And until today, they talk about it. When are we going on the next cruise? Shortly after that, another opportunity arose about Hawaii. What the fuck? I never been to Hawaii. Yo ando haciendo este país allá in Hawaii. But same thing. I don't deserve it. Whatever. But then I was more into like the kid stuff. So this was 2 years ago. And we went. We did it. We went, and kids till this day talk about it. We built those memories. We built so the journey is not only the hustle and the grind and the sacrifice, but those times you could take away and do it for your family. Those of you who have kids, those of you who have a spouse, I recommend, and I learned a lot of that from you too. We just took a break the other day, and even when I was going through a little hiccup, you're like, bro, chill, just let's do this. The kids were there like if it was Hawaii. For them it was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
For myself too, I got to relax. I got to put my head away from all the traffic and the noise out here, and it was just calm. It was great. But I think that's another thing too. Like when you get those opportunities, take the opportunities. That's why you work hard too, to be able to provide your family, your kids, if you have kids. A lot of you are building without kids or without a girlfriend or without this. Do things for yourself, man. Go on hikes, go on adventures, do things and enjoy that journey. Enjoy the little that it's providing you then, whether you're just starting to, whether you're big or going in a bigger size company. I think it's good to really stop and think of your family, the kids, and everything, and really make those moves for them too. Because I know I didn't think before. I didn't think like that. I was thinking, I don't deserve it, or I'm here. I'm still investing. I'm not. He's like, nah, stop and reflect on this. And I was like, oh shit. So that was big. That was big, and I think that's still part of the journey, and that's still part of from where you are to where today. I look back and like I said, I don't regret going on those trips. It was expensive. At the end of the day, I'm like thinking, man, that could have been another truck. Another little cash truck right there, but you have to. I have to I separate it like, hey, look, this is the investment for my family.
Yeah.
Went out there, we recharged. Everybody was happy. We came back. We ate beans for a whole month, but just nah. But yeah, it's amazing, bro. It's one of those things like you know, enjoy it till like you said, when you're 50, you look back and you're like, that's nice. I built that. We built that. The family built that because the sacrifices are all together and hard work and efforts. But yeah, that's a wrap. You want to close this out?
Yeah. I was just thinking about this while you were talking about that. Like my kids are home right now, so they're on summer break, and I'm usually gone for the majority of the day,
Yeah.
depending on whatever the day is, and I'll come home and I'll be like pretending like I'm tired, and I'll be like, yeah, like my life is so hard. I have to work for myself, and like I have to sit in AC and like record and like press play and stuff like that. Like I have such a difficult life. Like, we just have laughs at that. Like it's funny, yeah. Like it's funny because I remember when I was working my ass off, like right now, middle of summer, I was in attics, like
AC company, huh?
yeah, and I was in attics just sweating balls and taught me work ethic. But like I just think about those moments, like when I do have it good, I remind myself of those times where like I was sitting in the attic questioning like my reality, like what am I doing here? What is this?
all those memories, man.
Yeah.
You joke about it, you laugh together about it, all that. It's nice.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. Please make sure to share, subscribe, like, comment if you have any questions or anything you want us to talk about, just like how we did today. Thank you to Daniel for sending that message. Thank you for listening. You're definitely going to be one of the first people that we'll send merch out to when we do get merch. You're going to get that free merch because you're willing to say, hey, can you guys talk about this? So I appreciate that. So, or we appreciate that.
There you
So
go.
as always, stay shining, stay grinding.